Welcome everyone to another episode of Let's Talk Special Economic Zones. I'm your host Ainsley Brown. In today's episode, we're going to talk about special economic zones and supply chain strategy, nearshoring, reshoring, or remaining the same. Now, when you look at what is going on these days, particularly with the COVID-19 pandemic, it has induced a supply chain crisis around the world. Things are not being delivered when they're supposed to be delivered. There are shortages of certain items. There are factory closures based on outbreaks and slowdowns at ports and airports and railway lines and so forth, right? So overall, supply chains are in a mess right now. So people are deploying different strategies in order to solve the supply chain crisis, or a combination of strategies for in some instances. Now, one of the or some of the strategies are nearshoring or reshoring, or remain in the same, continue doing what you're doing, right? Now, nearshoring means that you are moving your manufacturing um, or your service delivery closer to where the service is actually being delivered. Likewise, reshoring means you're bringing it back home. And the reason for this is that supply chains or value chains have over the years been fragmented. So things that are made, you see something that says made in China. That's a little bit of a misnomer because not all the components, when you go all the way down to raw materials or even the manufactured goods, are made in China. So you get a phone and it says made in China. In reality, the battery might have come from Korea, the software might have come from the United States, the cobalt that's in it may have come from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and on and on and on, right? And then what happens is that China, uh, known as the factory of the world, becomes that central point where things are, basically brought together and it's labeled, yeah, made in China. So they're kind of the last end of a very complex chain. And this happens with many goods and services around the world. So some of the strategies and the link with special economic zones, I should say, is that these are areas in which a lot of economic activity happens around the world. And these are the places that um, where the actual, for example, in China, where some of this manufacturing would take place, the phone, as the example I cited. Now, you may be moving from one zone to another zone in the sense of, okay, I'm going to nearshore or reshore my supply chain. Now, this may or may not work for everyone because there are substantial costs involved in doing this. One study said that over the next 5 years to reshore or nearshore or basically remove the manufacturing from China to basically to the United States or surrounding countries would cost over the next 5 years $1 trillion. So it's quite an expensive venture. However, several companies have decided to take the leap, and it's become a trend. And it was a trend before the pandemic for various reasons. But it also represents an opportunity for special economic zones, whether it be from a nearshore perspective, nearshore a particular market, and that's critical to look at what are the markets being served. So if you look at it from a United States or a Europe perspective, the countries from a nearshore perspective, the countries that are um, within Europe or close to the United States, Canada, Mexico, Caribbean islands, Central American countries, or South America could benefit from that nearshore relocation happening. And chances are the companies will be looking for somewhere they can move into. And these would be typically special economic zones, whatever you want to call them, industrial parks, uh, free trade zones, free zones, and so forth. These are ready-made, tailor-made, um, sometimes turnkey, plug and play situations where people can literally just pick up and move their factory into. Now, reshoring, where you take it back home, may pose a bit of a challenge, and some people may, be cheering, yeah, companies are coming back, but it may not necessarily mean an increase in jobs, unfortunately, because of automation and the fourth industrial revolution. Um, and so that has to be looked out for. Many companies have remained the same. So as much as the buzzwords are around about nearshoring and reshoring, most companies have remained the same, and largely because of the costs associated with relocation, and also the complexity of supply chain. So yeah, you move your final assembly point from China to Mexico to serve the U.S. market, but guess what? You didn't really save anything. Um, so you're closer to the market, but you didn't really say, or your savings won't be realized for another 5 or 10 years. So you have to look at that. So there has to be a cost benefit analysis done before you make any such drastic decision. Now, there are opportunities wherever for special economic zones and for countries that operate them, whether it is a remain the same or it is a nearshore or reshore situation. So it's just a question of how you serve the needs. So yeah, you may not be that final assembly point, but you could be a distribution point. So it depends on the needs of the market. So if you like this episode, please like and share. Leave a comment down below. I really want to engage with my audience. And if you have a suggestion for a future episode, just leave a comment down below and I'll get right back to you.